No, Nick. And it's amazing. It's a non-narcotic medication, but it's very expensive. It's brand new. And I think they made it expensive because they don't want people to have it. They want them to get addicted to opiates instead.
For sure.
And it blocks the nerves. So that's how it works. It's not like the same kind of,
Yeah, that
it
makes
doesn't
sense.
work the same. Yeah. So I ran out of it and I didn't realize how well it was helping until I didn't have it. But yeah. Have you seen what my foot looks like?
Yeah, I've seen the thing you got all wrapped around it. So
Yeah.
wait, that happened from snowboarding?
Yeah.
So how is your foot in a boot like that, and that happened to your leg?
Because how it broke was impact coming down. They compare it to like jumping out of a building or a car accident. My talus, my ankle bone, like slammed into the tibia, so it shattered it from the bottom
Uh,
up.
okay.
Yeah,
So
it was
it was
just
like
like a
impact from
force.
you. What were you doing?
I
Fucking
was just bombing this black diamond with my
It's
friend.
going 60 miles an hour in bad conditions.
Okay, the conditions weren't that bad, but like, yeah, okay, they weren't the greatest to be doing that kind of speed. But I was like trying to keep up with my friend. He's a pro. We were just bombing this hill. And then towards the bottom of it's one of the racing tracks that they use in Mammoth. So it's usually groomed, but at the bottom it was kind of choppy. And I just hit like a little patch of choppy snow and it launched me and I just did not land right. I don't know. I lost control and like that's, yeah, how my ankle broke. Yeah, a lot of people are like, how would you do that? Your foot is so like compact and
yeah, that's what
you're
that's why I
turning.
was asking that. I was like, you're so it's so
Yeah,
sorry.
but I was clocking my speed and I was at like 59.9 miles per hour when
Ooh.
I fell. So I'm just like grateful that I didn't break my neck and
Yeah, die.
yeah.
So I don't I think I might have told you this. I was talking to someone about it. I don't know if it was you or not, but I've only went snowboarding once, right?
Mm.
And I went years ago. And I went there and it was like a weekend and it was late. And I'm like, I just want to fucking go do this. And they didn't have the people, like any instructors to teach you how to do it. So I'm sitting there with this fucking snowboard strapped to my feet, sitting in the snow, watching YouTube videos. And I get up and I just, the first day was just pure disaster, and I was falling. My ass hurt so bad. And um, the second day, it was like it sucked, and then the third day it got better. And then the fourth day is like when it finally fucking clicked, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fucking fun. And what really helped me was I get on the lift and I end up. What's the step under Black Diamond?
Blue?
Okay, I think it could have been. I don't think it was the Black Diamond, but it was one of the highest ones. And I accidentally got on the wrong lift and went all the way up to the top. And I go to the dude, I'm like, "Hey man, I didn't mean to come up here. How do I get down?" He's like, you go down."
Oh my gosh. Which
Yeah.
mountain?
It was some small mountain in North Carolina. I had a house
Oh,
out there. Sugar Mountain or Beach Mountain, one or the other.
oh.
So I went and I tell you what, I fucking nailed it. I fucking
Yeah,
nailed it my first time.
you
And I'm
had
like,
to.
this is so
Yeah,
much
you,
Have my
fun.
Zoom call, okay?
I was like, this is so much fun. And then I had to fucking leave. And I tell myself every winter I'm going to go again, and that has yet to happen. So maybe in my near future.
mm, it's the best thing ever.
I know.
I can't wait to
All
get
right.
back.
So let's start chatting away real quick. Let me change my view here. All right. How we doing, everyone? So I think we should have a few more joining us, but let's bounce around a little bit and say hi. Um, Let me see something real quick. I was going to ask a question of the day for fun. Hold on. Someone's trying to get in and they're not having issues. You're clicking that link. What's happening? Question mark. Call is live. Um, Hold on. Question of the day. Okay. Let's see here. So I haven't done this in a while. Three, all but okay. That's a fun question. I got a fun question. All right. So I'm going to ask everyone how they're doing. I'm going to check in and get a win. And I'm going to ask you, you have to answer me for the question of the day. So the question of the day is going to be if you had to delete all the apps out of your phone, what three would you keep? All right. That's going to be the question of the day. Jimmy, let's start with you. Share a win. Tell me something good.
All right. Well, I just moved to Virginia Beach and I went to I went to the gym right when I got there. And then this morning I got up and I went, because I have two memberships, one at One Life, one at the Y. So I went to both of them already. And yeah, I hit, a bunch of new personal bests. I just been
I saw that. You had like 9.
yeah, I just been wanting to stay in there, but I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just walked down to the oceanfront because I'm only like 7 minutes away.
Nice.
Yeah, but they just put that curfew in over here.
What?
Yeah, because I guess some people got shot a couple of
Oh.
weeks ago, and they voted on a curfew like last week. So the cops were just riding around saying 7 o'clock curfew. Everyone has to be off the oceanfront. So everyone's like pissed off. It's crazy.
Oh,
But yeah, if I had to delete 3 apps,
you have to delete all the apps on your phone except 3. What 3 would you keep?
Instagram, maybe Prize Picks. I just won like $60 last night or today on the Cavs. I don't
Okay.
usually bet because I've been trying to scale back since I got clean and shit. But I had to bet on Cleveland because I'm from there and I won 60. So yeah, so those 2 and then the Warrior Awakening app for sure.
There you go. That's what I like to hear, bro.
Yeah, that's the one I'd be on.
Well, I mean, then you're gonna have a hard time getting your fucking workouts if you don't have it. Okay,
Yeah.
So good shit. Let's go to Michael. Michael, how you doing, brother? Tell me something good and tell me what 3 apps you'll keep on your phone if you have to delete all the apps off your phone.
Okay. Made it through my day. Went to work this morning early and then got to the gym, got my workout in.
That's a win.
That's my win.
That's a win.
3 apps. I'm gonna say Warrior app's first one. Second one be my bank account. My Bank of America account.
Yeah.
Gotta have that. And then probably Pandora because that's I'm not a Spotify guy, but I gotta have my music.
You gotta have the music. Okay, I like that. That works. We can leave the Warrior Awakened app out because I know you all better
we gotta have
anyway.
it, yeah.
Because if you're not tracking your workouts, and you're not tracking your nutrition, I can't fucking watch anything you're doing, and I gotta be watching all the time. All right, so Phyllis, same thing. Give me something. Tell me something good. Tell me 3 apps.
Something good. Had some family time today. A beautiful day outside. Watched some frogs hop across with little kids. It was so cute. 3 apps I would keep: my bank account app, Google Maps, and YouTube.
Okay. All right, Sage, you're up. Tell me something good. I can't hear you. You're a boomer. You don't want to turn the damn thing, unmute the. I can't do it for you either. Can you hit unmute or no?
She looks like she's driving, bud.
Yeah, I see that. She's talking. I don't think she would. Can you hear us? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. I don't know what's going on. We'll go back to her. Halana, tell me something good.
Haven't vaped.
Nice.
And haven't been picking up sweets for the
That's
past
awesome.
2 days, so
That's
that's
awesome.
good.
I like to hear. That's a big win.
Yeah. Kind of getting on an even keel with eating a lot of fiber or
Nice.
like that, staying full and not getting. Anyways, but I see 3 apps. Well, of course your app, YouTube, and ChatGPT.
Okay. You use ChatGPT a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Lily, you want to jump in?
Hey, yeah, I would love to. Okay, something good. I just had a beautiful hike in Malibu that was really nice, and yesterday I had a beautiful session recording the vocals for my first song on my debut EP as a music
Fuck yeah.
artist, and I freaking nailed it. I've been working on this song and just really been taking care of my voice, and it really paid off. Like my producer was super, super happy with my progress. My vocal coach was there. Like it was, it couldn't have gone better. So it was a dream. So life moment, big life moment yesterday that, what freaking awesome. So, I mean, that's just incredible gift. 3 apps. I don't have your app, man. I'm about to
No, you
download
don't.
it.
No, you
I'm
don't.
about to download it. Okay. So put me on.
Let's
But
go.
definitely ChatGPT, like all
Okay.
day, every little fucking thing. Like it's terrible. Totally, totally reliant and addicted. And then Spotify for sure and YouTube. Those are
Nice.
my-
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by the way, you chat GPT people, like I still use it a lot, but keep an eye on Claude. I'm really
Ah,
starting to like Claude a lot
yeah.
better. Um,
Apparently Claude is better for the world. Like they put more effort into like AI safety and like
okay.
protocols to keep it from taking over and creating an apocalypse if it
Yeah,
happens.
we don't need
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
need that to happen. But yeah, so keep an eye
No,
on that. All right. Thank you,
no.
Lily. And
Yeah.
how long you been a musician, artist, performer?
Since I got sober, sober, I mean, like my whole life, right? Like it's a whole time coming, the whole lifetime coming. I believe that we're all artists in whatever, like, you know, our
Yeah.
meetings are different, and it's just about like healing to the point where you choose to pursue it, to be honest with you. But I love to sing since I was like, you know, since I could open my mouth and speak, but never nurtured it, never did anything
Yeah.
with it until I got sober about 3 years ago. And then it became music as my medicine. Like I
Yeah.
just needed to, and then started finishing songs. I'm like, these are pretty fucking good. And now I'm just like doing it, like
Right.
doing it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
was
been
so I mean I still do it, but I was a DJ. I say I was, I mean I don't do it like I used to. I DJ'd for 18 years. I'm on like 18 years, I think.
beautiful.
I've gotten to tour, I've gotten to open up for I've done festivals. I was on
Let's
iHeartRadio. Yeah, I
go.
was on iHeartRadio. I had on their app on the I whatever their I think it's called iHeartRadio. Oh yeah, iHeartRadio. And
Yep,
then I
yep,
had a
sorry.
radio show on the local thing. I have Marshmallow, Sean Paul, Flo Rida, fucking all sorts of people. But
No way.
so that
Okay.
yeah, so that was like my creative outlet, you know, and it was fun and it was exciting, but obviously that was also the downfall of my drinking and drug addiction.
Yeah.
So I had to find that balance. But you know, so now I still DJ. I'll take like little gigs here and there. I wake up early as fuck in the morning now, so I can't do those late night things anymore.
We got to get you coming to Daybreaker. There's a world now that's building around like alcohol-free,
Yeah,
drug-free partying, and
yeah,
it's the highest vibe,
yeah.
like the highest vibe.
Yes,
So
we love
yeah,
Daybreakers.
we love
So it's
Daybreaker.
I do
Yeah.
shit like that here. We have like a lot of we have sober events that I do, and then I do a lot of like daytime fitness events and stuff like that.
Okay. Well,
Wait,
you
where do you
know,
live?
send over the
I'm in
invite, bruh.
South Florida.
Oh, okay, okay,
Oh,
okay. You're a little
it
ways
might
away.
be hard to They have
Yeah.
Daybreakers out there though. It's
Do they?
all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
You know, whatever. I mean, I travel a lot anyway,
That's
so
awesome. That's
maybe
beautiful.
one
It's
day.
cool that you had that experience, you know.
Yeah,
It definitely could be tricky without recovery. For me,
yeah,
there was just no getting my work done. Like I wasn't one of those functional ones who could show
yeah,
up and do my shit.
yeah.
Like so now it's possible. It just wasn't possible for me the way I was going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear that. I hear that.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime. All right, let's hop over to Connor. Connor, tell me something good.
Good. I got back from working in North Dakota today, so that was good. And then uh yeah, I'd probably just keep my journal app and the obviously the Warrior Awaken, but then I also have like my YouTube music and my work app. So
Okay. We gotta have that. You gotta have
yeah.
that. Okay, I like it. I like it. And did you get to the gym or you going to the gym?
I'm going to the gym after this tonight. So
Okay, that's right. I think, oh yeah, you told me that. Okay. All right. All right. So that's you know, everyone else is hiding, so I'll leave them alone for now. Um, again, as we do on Saturdays, I have a guest speaker today. Um, I met her on Instagram through she's a friend of the girl we had last week. And she's got her own story. And listen, I want to say something because you know, and you've heard me say this before, like the idea behind what I do here and what I like to do here is, you know, we talk about the 12 steps, we talk about AA. I did AA. I'm a fan of the 12 steps. Some of us are also in AA. But I really want to invite people on that can show us other ways and other things that have worked for other people. So I always tell people like keep an open mind. Something might not work for you, but things work for other people, and everyone's sobriety and recovery journeys are very different. So keep an open mind. That's all I say. But Jesse, take over.
Hi guys. As he mentioned, my name's Jesse, and it's good to be on this meeting. I haven't led a meeting in probably 6 months or so, so this is nice. I'll tell you guys a little bit about my past, and like how I got to where I'm at right now. And wait, should I time myself, JR? Should I?
No, I mean, listen, if it starts getting, I mean, listen, if you go over, you go over. It's not like, you have to go till 8. You can go, I don't care, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. I don't give a shit.
Oh my
Tell them
gosh.
what the way.
Okay.
If people aren't engaging with you and they don't like it, they can fucking leave, whatever.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, I grew up in like a good family, and my dad, he's Persian. My mom is like a European mix. So I'm a mutt, and like my parents can be too different like from each other. My dad was very conservative, and like my mom's like this like free spirit from like New York. She was like a hippie artist. And their marriage didn't last too long. Um, they divorced when I was like 5, and my sister and my mom and I we lived out in California. We were born in Los Angeles, but then we moved to New York first for like a year, and then we moved to Ohio, and I spent most of my elementary years out in Ohio. And are you from Ohio, Jimmy? Is that yeah? Oh, nice. I saw your arm.
Yeah, I am from Ohio. I
Oh,
actually
cool.
moved here in the street I just moved to. It's called Ohio Avenue. So I'm like,
Nice.
God is good.
Synchronicity. Yeah, so I loved Ohio. It was a great upbringing. It was like we lived in the house with the front porch and the swing, and we had white Christmases and all that stuff, and it was really nice. But I did yearn for that relationship with my dad. Having him back in LA was hard, and we would go see him in like the summers, but it still wasn't like enough. He'd always be working when we go and all that. So I definitely, knew I had some like attachment issues growing up just because of that lack right there. But when I remember another thing is like having anxiety all the time. Like from a kid, like my stomach was always hurting, especially when I had to go to school. I was like constantly sick to my stomach. My mom would travel a lot for her work, and I would be left with like a nanny or having to stay with like my friends, like families, and it just caused a lot of like anxiety within me. And I carried that through into my adult years. So I ended up moving back to Los Angeles. We like to like a suburb called Agora Hills, with my mom and my sister when I was going into 6th grade. No, 5th grade. So moved back. I was super innocent, and then quickly saw how things were a lot. Um, the people around me, the kids around me were more, progressive. They like knew about stuff that I didn't know about, and I still stayed pretty innocent. I remember I was like in my group of girlfriends, I was like, I'm never gonna like smoke weed, I'm never gonna drink, and I'm never having sex before marriage. And they're all like, oh, well, we are. And I was like, well, that's good for you. I'm not going to. And then like we get into like high school, right? And then I'm like the first one to do all of those things. And like some of those girls like didn't do anything like beyond even like drinking. It was interesting how like something like changed within me. And I think what had ended up happening, because like a lot of, over the years I've tried to figure out like what caused me to derail. Um, and I believe it was like this, I believe it's in multiple different things, but the catalyst to it all, like the thing that like really set me off was my papa, which my mom's dad, passed away on Christmas Eve one night in our house, and I was there to witness it. He had a heart attack, and we were trying to save him, revive him, elevated his legs, the whole thing, called 911, and it was really traumatic. That memory haunted me for a long time. And my mom like had lost her mom the year before, so losing both of her parents that she was extremely close with like was just devastating for her, and she like sank into a very deep depression. So it was just like her, my sister and I, and she would drink wine all the time and she would mix it with Xanax and then she'd be like, I'm gonna kill myself. So she's in the other room. So I'm like trying to be quiet. She said I would, she wants to kill herself and stuff. So I would like be like always worried that she was gonna end up doing it. And I would just go feel her pulse while she was sleeping sometimes. And I didn't want to go out with my friends. I was in ninth grade when this happened. And it was very shortly after that that I started to experiment with drugs and alcohol. It started off with weed. I hated it, but I did it anyways every weekend. Like every time I do it, I'm like, why am I doing this? I hate this. This is not fun. And then I just couldn't help myself. Like, there was something in me that wanted to do it and wanted more. And then, it led to drinking and I would drink to like, the until like I blacked out. Like I mean like don't get me wrong, like the girls around me, they were drinking like that too. I think it's just kind of part of like high school partying, but it was more of like the intention behind my drinking was to get super fucked up. It wasn't just to like enjoy myself in that moment and like have some fun. It's like I wanted to get to the point where something could shut off inside of me. And I couldn't get there with alcohol. I would either get sick before it happened or I would just like fall asleep or black out. I never got to the place where I'd see people just like loose and just so happy and like losing like and I was very shy growing up and like like wanted to be the girl who was just like super fun and loud at the parties and I could never get there with alcohol. It was so weird. So then it like progressed from beyond that. I started going to raves in 10th grade and that was where I found intimacy for the first time. Like I truly felt like, ecstasy and like being with like these friends of mine. Like I've never felt closer to people before that moment, it was intimacy on a different level. And I got so addicted to that. And so that was like where my scene was for a while, for most of high school, I'd say until I got caught by my mom. My ex-boyfriend like left like all this like evidence on like our doorstep and like called her and was like, open your front door. And it was like all these pictures of me at raves and like doing all this stuff. And so I got in trouble and after that I like cleaned up my act for a little bit, I just, said no more raves, no more ecstasy. I'm just gonna do coke. And so it was just drinking and coke. And that was most of the rest of my high school. And I ended up graduating with good grades and I went straight to CSUN and I lived this like double life where no one really knew what was going on inside of me, like the turmoil and the pain that was still there. It was like every day I was anxious still. Every day I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I always had racing thoughts. I never could just like feel normal. And I ended up, finding like Roxy's, that was the next thing. And it was just by accident. I was up in Mammoth, so I've been snowboarding since I was like in seventh grade. I love it. It's my passion. It's what I wanted to do professionally, but my dad was like, I will disown you if you move to Mammoth and just become a snowboarding bum. So I didn't do that. I went to college instead, but I love snowboarding so much. So I was up in Mammoth like all the time. Like every weekend sometimes I'd go up there and I made friends with some of the like locals and I was staying with this one, these two guys and they were like smoking off foil and I was like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a pill." I'm like, "You're smoking it? That's weird." And they're like, "You know, you should try it." And I tried it and I was just like, "Oh, this is it. This feels good. This shuts off my mind. This makes my anxiety go away." And I ended up, just like going on a mission when I got home to find that in Los Angeles. And I found a dirty doctor who gave me exactly what I wanted. And he gave me like 30, I think it was like 30 Roxys a month, Adderall, Valium, Xanax as well, Somas, and then threw in there Suboxone, which doesn't even make sense, like the combination. But it was like, ah, yes, I hit the jackpot, right? And I lived like that for a while. I ended up getting into meth shortly after that with an ex-boyfriend. And I cruised for a minute, but then once the meth got in me, like my behavior started to change a lot. I couldn't really hide it anymore. And my mom's not living, like we're not living together anymore, but she could tell like when I would see her and like the phone calls that there was like something extremely off. And so I ended up finally, somehow they found out. I can't remember because I remember like I had to admit it when they came forward to me, but they found out. I think someone ratted on me and told them, probably because they were worried about my safety and like wellness, but I'm like, they ratted on me. No, so I got told on by someone, and then I ended up, telling them the truth. And so I went to rehab for the first time, and that was in 2009. And I did my 30 days and I thought I was cured. And then as soon as I got out, I got drunk with one of the techs from the rehab. It's great. Great program they have there. No, but yeah, and then that alcohol, like again, I was like, well, this is what happened in high school. This isn't doing the trick. I need to get more of that. But then this time I'm like, I don't really want Roxy's. Like I want heroin, and I found it and like I smoked it and I couldn't stand the freaking taste. It was so disgusting and the smell, but I did it anyways. And um af a little bit after that, probably a month later, I had to fly to Connecticut because my mom was living out in Connecticut at this point. And I flew out there for Thanksgiving, and I had a girlfriend that lived in the city in Manhattan, and I met up with her and we went to a bar and we got drunk or whatever. It was like on a party bus. And then like that little voice turned on in my head again. You don't want this. You don't want alcohol. You want something else. And then I went on this mission to find heroin in New York. And I did. I ended up finding China White, and YouTubing how to shoot up. And by the grace of God, I did it and didn't die, because like I didn't know what I was doing, how much to do or anything like that. And I was by myself at this point. So, I just it was crazy because I threw up everywhere when it happened. Like I didn't like it and I felt just disgusting. I felt guilty. I felt shameful, but just like how it was with the weed, like I couldn't stop once I started. Like I didn't want to give it up. And so I went back home to LA after that, and then I just get went into full-blown heroin meth addiction, started shooting goofballs. I was obsessed, like it was the only thing I cared about. And needless to say, I quickly, everything else around me like just faded away, like very fast. I had to drop out of school. I was kicked out of my house. I was started to just hang with the lowest of the low and I started escorting to make money, something I said I would never do. It was like I was always like drawing these lines in the sand and then like, oh, I'll never do that. I'll never do that. And I get there and I cross over and then I double back and cross over again. It was like and I couldn't even control it. It was beyond my control. It was like a different person emerged after these substances entered me. And I lived like that for a long time, I would go to rehab for like little short periods of time, 30 days, 60 days. I would leave after 2 weeks, then I'd come back and then I'd leave again. It was just like this rehab rebound situation I got used to. And it just, I didn't want it. I wanted to want it, but I didn't want it. I just wanted it for other people. I wanted it so that my parents could feel better about it because I love my parents. I'm very close to both my parents and I could see it aging them. I remember like my dad taking me to a restaurant one day and he just broke down and started sobbing in the middle of the restaurant. It makes me want to cry like thinking about it because this man is so stoic. He never showed emotion like that. And like he looked so helpless and powerless when he was begging me to get help. And at that point, I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm sorry, Dad. Like, I can't. I don't want to get sober. I want to for you, but I won't do it. I won't last. And so I just kept denying help at this point. And, my parents ended up doing like the tough love thing, like from Al-Anon, and they cut communication off with me. And I just was started getting in trouble, escorting went to like I stopped escorting at a certain point because I just couldn't stand doing that anymore. And instead I did something which was worse. I got into like, the criminal underworld of like fraud and things that hurt other people, at least like my the way I was okay and justified escorting was because I'm like, look, I'm not hurting others. I'm just hurting myself at least. Now I'm like hurting other people. Now I'm hurting innocent people that don't deserve it, and but it was good money and I was in my addiction and so I just ran with it and I got good at it. But for a while it was just like very there were a lot of instability. I was like homeless sometimes. I never slept outside or like in a tent, but I mean like homeless to the point where like I'd be sleeping in my car, or if I didn't have a car at the time, I'd be sleeping in the back of a U-Haul. I used to rent U-Hauls all the time and just like live out of the back of them. Or I'd be, crashing at people's houses, hotels. It was just always on the move, right? And then I finally ended up doing pretty well with making money the way I did. And I got like a two-bedroom apartment. It was beautiful. It was in Marina del Rey, like right there on the water. And I had like my dream car, which was like a Hellcat. I had a puppy. I was with my ex-boyfriend who I couldn't stand him. He was like the only thing that was like not good in that moment. We had all these like beautiful things that like wanted. And then I'm like, okay, now I'll be happy because I'm not, it's not the drugs. It's my circumstances. It's all the moving around all the time. It's the instability. That's what's making me happy. But now that I have everything, it's going to be good. And then like time goes by and I'm just still miserable. And that's when I had like an epiphany in my using where I'm like, no matter what, I will be miserable if I continue to use. Even with all of these things, all the money that I could think of, like I was shopping all the time. I mean, I had a lot of money at that time from what I was doing, and it didn't matter. Like none of it mattered. I was still so hollow and like just like empty and sad. I was so sad. I look at pictures of me from back then where I'm like, I think I look great. I don't look great. I look like shit. But it's not that stands out. It's like my eyes. I even with a smile on my face, my eyes looked sad. And so what ended up happening was a series of events that got me finally sober. And at the time, I thought it was like my life falling apart, like, oh my God, how could this all keep happening? But it wasn't. It was God working in my life and like getting me to where I needed to be. I kind of like to reference like my addiction. It's like why I'm walking against the current in water, or like I'm stuck in a riptide and everything is just working against me. It's like Murphy's Law all the time. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's my life in addiction. But when I get sober, it's just I'm walking, I'm with the flow. And sometimes there's like bumps and turns and everything, but like you just keep flowing. You flow with the movement. And it's like and I feel connected to God. There's just so many great things. Okay, I'll get into like my sobriety, but so what ended up happening was what I said, like Murphy's Law, right? I get in trouble. I'm like I went to log. Oh no, we got evicted first. That was like the first bad thing that happened to us. So we got evicted. Um, and then we ended up having to go move into like this trap house in the valley, which I knew once I got to the valley, I'm like, I'm gonna get arrested. I just knew it. And I was off probation at this time and everything, but I just had a feeling that that would happen. Because that's what happens when you live in the valley and you're on drugs. And I ended up living at this trap house. I went to Walgreens to go get needles, and I get pulled over. Well, I try to pull, I see these cops pull in, right? And I'm in my blacked out Hellcat. Like, how stupid was I? I thought I looked so cool, but like the windows and the windshield and the tires and the lights, everything was black. And it was like such a like a magnet for cops. So when I pull in, I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna probably try to pull me over. So I like back into a parking spot real quick, and I'm like gonna get out and try to run into Walgreens. I like that trick. I think that works all the time. I couldn't even get out of my car yet. They like pulled up in front of me and like faced me, and then like parked and turned their lights on, and I just looked at them and I was like, nope. And I turned my car on and I just like pulled around them and just took off. And like I had no idea where I was going. I was in a part of the valley I wasn't used to. And I just was like, please God, just let me not hurt someone. Because I was just going through intersections, not looking, like, just on the run. And I've never seen more cops come out of the woodworks in my life. I swear every corner I turned, there was another cop. I was like, fuck, this was not a good idea. And so I ended up like running into like I turned down a dead end and I was like, shit, should I stop? I'm at a dead end. Nope, I'm gonna keep going. I turn around. I almost hit a cop on my way out. And I literally yell at the window. This is the kind of attitude I was like, sorry. Like that makes a difference. And then like I'm like keep going and then I get a little further and I notice I lost them at this point. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I pulled down another sheet. It's another fucking dead end. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop because I see there's a driveway with like that you can go into someone's house and you wouldn't be able to see the car from the street. So I pull into the driveway and I look up like when I get out of the car and there's a freaking helicopter already there. So I'm like, fuck, I'm fucked. I grabbed what I could. I had like because I had just moved, I had a bunch of like illegal stuff in my car. including a bunch of like IDs and like credit cards. So I grabbed what I could right there in the front seat and I like threw it in the people's trash can outside. And then I'm like walking down the street, and that's when the first cop car pulls down. And he, had me stop, or said he was going to take me down if I didn't stop. And I ended up, I went to jail, obviously. And, I got bailed out, and I was only getting charged with felony evading at this point. But then when I went back to court, they were charging me with 18 felonies. So, oh, sorry, as I'm talking about this, I'm like hearing sirens and a cop like yelling on his like megaphone outside. That's just like New York, I guess, for you. Um, so anyways, I got, arrested. I don't know why I ran that day, honestly. Like, I think it's like one other time I had ran from the cops in my car and I got away. I'm like, I can get away from anyone in this Hellcat, but just that time it was not the same. But I thank God for it, because honestly, I don't even know if I would be alive if it weren't for that day. If I hadn't done that, it wouldn't have set off these next series of events. So like, I go to court. I'm having 18 felonies I'm looking at. I go home, I still use, and I ended up getting in trouble again while out in bail, trying to get another car fraudulently. They set me up. And so now I have two court cases and I'm on bond for both. And so they put an ankle monitor on me. And I'm sitting in my trap house with an ankle monitor on, and I just decided to do like a big shot. And I did one accidentally from like a spoon that I used to draw from for muscle shots. So it was like super strong, and I didn't realize that I accidentally used that one, and I ended up ODing. And it was like the first time, surprisingly, because I used for like 16 years IV, and I didn't OD ever. I thought I had it down, and then thank God for it, because it literally, this was a wake-up call for me. It scared the fuck out of me. Waking up like that with CPR and like ambulance coming and the Narcan and all that stuff. Like, I just remember like my dog, she was hiding in the corner. She was so scared. And I remember looking around and being like, oh my God, my life almost ended here on this dirty trap house floor. You know, like the beautiful life that my parents like gifted me with, that I could have had. Like, I had all these dreams and like visions for what I wanted, like I wanted to have like a career. I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids, and like to think that I almost took that from myself because I couldn't get sober. Like, it was a huge wake up call in that moment. And so it was not even a week later that I went and checked myself into detox, but it wasn't like a regular detox. I ended up going to the hospital actually because I had a gnarly staph infection in my foot. And so when they treated me there, they treated me for my, to get off the heroin and everything. So I did that, and after that I we got evicted from the trap house. It was like all this stuff lined up perfectly, and my mom was like, "You know what? You can move it back home with me if you'd like." And she was back in California at this point. She's like, "And your boyfriend, Chris, his name was Chris, he can come too, but you guys have to be sober." So he ended up going to rehab so he could get sober, and then we both moved in to her house. And I spent like 19 months there on house arrest. I couldn't leave except to go to like doctor appointments. And so I just like threw myself into working on myself, like on my sobriety and on self-development. I, got it, got into the steps. I did the steps probably 3 times within those 19 months because I kept switching sponsors, and they wanted me, they're like, how willing are you? Okay, we're gonna start you over. And I was like, okay. Yeah, the first time I had like 250 resentments. It was crazy. And I'm like, this is so much work. But I just looked at it as a gift because there was, I never had this chance before. I always like I said, I was a runner. I ran away from every opportunity I had, and now I couldn't. I mean, I could have if I wanted to, but I would end up back in jail. Now I'm like, I have to sit where I am. I have to look at myself. I have to be uncomfortable. And it was the best thing for me. It was the best thing for me. So I did that, and while I'm fighting my case, and I ended up the one that I for the car, the second one was a DA reject, or they just didn't file it or whatever. Yeah, at that time they didn't file it. So I just had this big case, and my attorney thought he could get me like probation, and I was like, really? Because I already had like quite a lot of felonies on my record at this point. I'm like, I don't think so, and he's like, yeah, we'll be fine. I'm like, okay. Well, we weren't. We got to court, and finally, after fighting it and going back and forth for a while, the DA was like, "Look, you have to take 32 months in prison, or the deal's off the table, and we're not gonna, you're gonna get more time." And so he's like, "You have to sign for that today." I'm like, "What?" Like, and it was like I felt so like powerless. I'm like, "No," because I was so used to getting out of things. Like the longest I had spent in jail was 2 months. Okay, like on all, and I've been arrested more times than I can count. I used to get rehab. I used to get bailed out. I used to get like drug court. I would get AB 109. It was just like, oh no, sorry, not AB 109. That's probation. I would get the other one that they give you. I forget what it's called. But I was just used to like always beating the system. And this time I was like, fuck, this is really happening, you know? And then part of me like went home and I was like, oh, I'm self-pity, poor me. I'm sober. I shouldn't have to go to jail. The truth is, that's such bullshit. I did this. I did these crimes, you know? Like, just because I'm sober doesn't mean I don't have consequences that I still have to like, face. So I snapped out of it. Like I thought about using that day, and then I was like, what is that gonna do? What is that gonna do? That's gonna take me exactly to back to what got me in this position in the first place. So I stayed sober, and then I like changed my mindset, and I was like, I'm gonna help women in there. I'm gonna go to fire camp. I'm just gonna, this is gonna be good. It'll be fine. I'll do a year and a half probably, and then I'll be out, and it'll be okay, And I ended up going to court that day, like a month later. I think they gave me a month and I to remand myself. And I was ready. I was prepared. I had like my warm puffy jacket on and everything, and had given my mom a bunch of directions for different stuff. And I hugged everyone goodbye, and I went up to the front. And I just remember sitting up there with my attorney, and I felt like the presence of God with me. I felt calm, and I felt like at peace with whatever happened. And I remember like they were going, it was the DA wasn't there, and this guy hated me, and he wasn't there, which was surprising. I'm like, he doesn't want to see me go in. Like was his moment that he's been waiting for. But it was some lady that like was there as a sub for him, and she didn't really know my case very much, and but my attorney were going back and forth. He's like, this is the last thing I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get you credit for your house arrest. He's like, they don't have to give it to you, but I'll try. And I'm like, okay, we'll see, and they went back and forth. And then at first the judge was like, okay. And then she was like, no, 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 Your Honor, look. The DA, she like pulls up something on her phone and she's like reading it, like basically a reason why I shouldn't get it. And then my attorney's going back. And then like, I was just like, wait, I am, or no, I'm not. Like, I was just like, what's happening? And then finally they like agreed. It wasn't that they agreed. The judge stepped in and was like, I'm going to give her the credit. And I guess it's like he believed in me. He had seen like the changes and like how much like I really wanted to be sober. And I brought in all these letters from people, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna give her the credit. And then they calculated it, and it equaled to overtime served. And so he's like, you're going straight to parole status. You'll get your ankle monitor taken off right after you walk out of these courtrooms. And I just like almost lost it up there. I could hear like my mom in the courtroom sobbing with relief. And like I even like turned around, and I seen like my dad's eyes are teary, and he like winked at me, and like and even my attorney had tears in his eyes. So, like my attorney's like known our family for a long time. So I think it was just like this sense of relief. And I like promised God that day, I was like, I will never hurt another human being the way I did again. Like I will not commit crime again. And I held up to that. Because I was addicted to the lifestyle, probably more than drugs at this point. Making that fast money, and like the puzzle of doing it all, and the mastery behind it. I was addicted to that. And so I let it go, and I meant it, because I felt like I was really given like a second chance that day. And I went home, and I was like, now what? I've been on house arrest for 19 months. Now I've been sober, and what do I do next? And I just like, went from 0 to 100, doing all the things. I mean, I started traveling. I got my license back. I hadn't had one in a while. I opened up a women's sober living in like that. So that was in November of 2020. 2004, I want to say. And then we opened up Namaste, my sober living in February of 2025. So it went like things moved really quickly, and I learned what it was like to have responsibility again. I learned what it was like to be in like a working person, and I got another, besides sober living, I started working doing business development for a treatment center, and I just was like finding myself again. And the biggest part, like one of the biggest parts for me was fitness, like getting back into the gym. Like I need the gym, like I need to be moving my body. It is medicine for me. And even like that, and that can look like hiking or Pilates or, weightlifting. It doesn't matter. I need it for my recovery. And so that was like a huge part of that. And then I threw myself into like AA, and like I would lead meetings. I got sponsees. I started talking on podcasts. I just did any type of service work that I could. I did, and through my like recovery, I met the most beautiful friends. Two of them are on here. Actually, Kelly, I've known since college, but we like went off like separately and then came back to each other. But yeah, Lily and Kelly, those are my girls. I love you guys so much. And I'm telling you, like we have the coolest group of girls. Like we all kind of look alike. We all have like long dark hair. People call us like a coven, but I swear we're not witches. But like they're just like their friendships like were what I dreamt about forever, and I wouldn't have had that if I didn't get sober. Um, and my sobriety like doesn't look like everyone else's, right? Like I have different perspectives on things. I'm very open to plant medicine. I feel like it's when it's done intentionally and in the right space that like it can be a very useful tool for like mental health and for like diving deeper. And I'm always on like a journey for self-discovery, right? Like I'm always trying to find out why I do things and like the reason behind things, and I just want to just keep digging, 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 and like so I can feel more clear and clear and clear. And I love meditation. I love breath work. These are just the tools that work for me, and I don't want to take any of them away because I just, how do I know I'll be okay if I take one away? Like I know these are the things that work, right? And um, I love peptides. That's like been a huge thing for me too with my fitness. There's just so yeah, and like I said, like not everyone like in AA or NA will agree with like my perspective on that, but it is my own, and that is something that I've had to come to terms with recently because I was afraid for a long time to like say that because of the fear of being judged, but I find that when I keep it in, then it feels wrong, like I have a secret, and I shouldn't have to hide these things because they're not wrong, and I want, so like I want the people that I help with my recovery to find their own journey as well, like what works for them because it's not so black and white in my opinion. Um, so I'll tell you guys like how my life looks right now. I ended up so I had like almost 4 years. Well, I would have had 4 years in April. This is April 26th. So no, 27th, sorry. No, 26th. April 26th, I would have had 4 years. But what I ended up having last March 1st, I shattered my leg. Okay, like let me just show you guys what's on me right now. So I have a cage on my leg, and this has been going on since last year. I was snowboarding and I like fell at a very, very high speed. And, I didn't realize how much my life would change from this injury, but it truly was like a life-changing injury. So I ended up getting surgery, and it was hard. They put me on painkillers. It awakened the beast, My yeah, the obsession had been lifted to that until that point. Like I truly believed I would not have picked up again if I had never put another opiate in my body. But something happened, and now I know, even going forward, if I choose ever to, oh, Jeffrey. And now I know going forward that if I ever like put an opiate, like, oh no, if I ever get surgery, I cannot put an opiate in my body. Like I can't, even for like a day or two. Nope, I cannot. It does something to me that's like I cannot explain. So it awakened the beast. I got on Suboxone to get off of it. Then I got on Sublocade, and then I got off the Sublocade, and I was doing fine. And then we find out that like I had broken screws in my leg. The surgery didn't work. My tibia was like not healing. So they were like, we need to do another surgery. I'm like, fuck, you know? And at this point, I'm just like, it's crazy because in the last year, I've done still so much. Like, I still managed to like make it to festivals and dance and just travel. I went to Mexico for my dad's like vow renewal. I've done a lot of beautiful things, but like this has definitely held me back, and like it's held me back from doing other things that I love. Like I couldn't really go hiking even like while I was in like a recovery mode. Like once I was transferred to weight bearing, it still like it would hurt a lot. It would swell a lot. Like it was hard for me to do the things that I love doing, and fitness included. So I didn't want to do another surgery. I was like, I can't be back in that place where I can't move and I'm in the bed and I'm watching TV. I can't do it, but I had to. So I ended up getting another surgery in December, and they went in there and they saw that I had a bone infection, and that's why my bone hadn't healed. And at this point, I had been going through this gnarly relationship with my ex where we would like break up, get back together. At first, he told me he didn't want kids. Then he changed his mind. He wants kids. Now we get back together. It was just like this back and forth, very toxic thing. And you know, so that was like weighing on me. I ended up telling my doctors that, or not my, sorry, I ended up telling my job that I was doing business development for that I needed to go back on medical leave. And I just came back to work and they fired me. And so I was like, okay, this is great. It was just like all these little things started like weighing on me, you know, and I'm like, it was a recipe for relapse and disaster. And I was starting to step away from my meetings. And I just kind of, you know, I guess I like became complacent, and I ended up having the surgery, and then they gave me the oxys again. Truthfully, that surgery wasn't as painful. I probably didn't need them, but I took them because I wanted them. You know, I wanted to not feel what I was feeling. And once again, the beast was awakened, and then it's so quick how it progresses. I went right back to what I was doing before. It took longer for the meth to come in because I was like, I don't need that. I just need the opiates. And, you know, they put a PIC line in my arm. And for an addict who's an IV user who has bad veins, that was like a huge trigger. I cannot tell you how triggering that was to know that like I could just, you know, put it and it goes straight to your heart. Like, and it set me off. I ended up snapping, and I used, and I hid it for a while, which was shameful and like just destroyed me inside to look at my friends that love me so much and to lie to them. Like, but I know that it wasn't like me. Like I didn't want to lie to them. I didn't want to lie to my parents. I didn't want to lie to anyone, but I was so scared to tell anyone the truth and so ashamed, you know. I have a sober living at this point. I have women that are looking up to me. What do I do now? I tell them that I've been lying and using, like as I'm preaching against all this stuff, like, oh, like and I go home and I'm getting high. Like I just felt like a fraud, you know, and I just I continued to do it, and then one day I ended up doing meth again, and that's when my behavior started to really change. So, um, you know, my friends started to notice that there was something wrong, and my parents and my ex, and we, you know, I just ended up breaking down one day and just telling people in my life, and I went to detox, and I came out here to New York after detox because I came out here to get surgery on my leg for the last time, the fifth surgery since last year. But this surgery, I told them this time, I'm like, you cannot give me narcotics. Do not give me any opiates. I don't care like how much pain I'm in coming out of anesthesia. Do not give me any. And they didn't. They put me on like a ketamine IV drip instead for like 2 days. I like slept through the pain. And then and when I woke up, they were giving me Advil and Suboxone for the pain. I was like, okay, and so I did that, and then I'm like now I'm good. Like I'm feeling back to myself. I feel finally like who I was like before, but even better. Like my energy has like shifted in a weird way. It's like I truly believe God brings us down like the path that we need to go down. Even though we can't see sometimes why it's happening, there is a bigger, picture at the end of it all. And I feel like I know I'm here for a reason, and I don't know quite yet what it is, but I know it has to do with helping others. So, I'm just continuing down this road of like self-discovery. I started a clothing line that I've been wanting to do for like probably my entire adult life, and I finally like got my website up and like have like been getting my pieces out. I upcycle flannels and I make them all like funky and stuff, and then I have some like other like recovery related stuff in there too. Um, and then, and I got back into my fitness. I am very limited still, right now because I'm on crutches again, and I will be for the next 4 months. But I know that after those 4 months, like the cage comes off my leg, I call it the cage, and I will be like, I'll have a normal working ankle again. That's the hope. Because in Los Angeles, all the doctors, they wanted to fuse my ankle, and I listened to my intuition, and I was like, don't do that, don't do that. And I came out here, and thank God I found a specialist. So you know, I just I'm so grateful that I'm sober right now, because when I lost myself a few months ago, like I didn't know if I was gonna come back again. I you get used to that feeling, and like it's crazy, right? Because my mom was asking me the other day, and she was like starting to cry, and she's like, "Why? Why did you go back to shooting up?" And I just couldn't even answer. How do you explain that to someone who's not an addict, who's not an alcoholic, who doesn't understand how powerful? Like, how do you explain something like that when you don't even understand it? It's almost like another person in me was like driving these forces, like these actions. Um, but you know, I didn't blow up my life this time. And when in my meetings, when I go, and I switched over to NA for the meantime, just to have a different experience. I usually work AA. Um, I, you know, I, sorry, I identify myself as a newcomer in those meetings and everything, but my perspective outside of the rooms is not that I have 20, and I started my time after I got out of this surgery because like of all the ketamine, I just wanted to have like a clean slate, like, and start my number from like a day where there was nothing in me. So I have like 21 days technically if I were in a meeting, but I don't like outside of that, I don't have 21 days. I have almost 4 years with a few months of abstinence from those years. And because my recovery and everything I learned and all the tools and all the insight and the growth didn't just disappear with those few months of relapse. And I feel like it can be very daunting and overwhelming for some people after they relapse to come back because of that reason. Oh, I have to start over and I have to. So that's my perspective on how I look at it. Everyone can have their own viewpoint on that, but like that's how I look at my recovery and what feels right for me. And what time is it? Okay, I will end. I just yeah, I would say like my life became so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I didn't ruin it this time. I have my parents and my sisters, and then I have my best friends. Um, I have like just like the relationships, and I have a connection to God that I never had before. And I'm working always on that connection, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say except for that I'm just so grateful, and thank you for listening, you guys, and letting me share my story with you. It's been really healing. It's always healing when I get to talk about things and process them as I do so. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing too. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable and really digging in there, because I know it's hard to do.
Mm.
And but very inspiring. I appreciate you. I want to just ask, is there anyone that wants to ask a question or has a comment? If so, raise your hand or jump in.
I do.
Yeah, alive. Yeah,
Hey,
go ahead.
hey, thank you so much for you coming on here and talking, sharing your testimony. I have I share that, well, not totally everything, but I definitely intravenously definitely share that path. And yeah. But I thank you for really sharing that. That really kind of hit home with my experiences. things I've gone through. But anyways, do you have Instagram at all?
Yeah,
Maybe something I can follow you.
of course. Yeah, let's connect on there. It's I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
And while she
Yeah.
was speaking, I was hoping you were still on here. I checked to make sure you're on here because I felt like that this would resonate with you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. No, it's so close to home. Like you get a lot of people on here. I mean, addiction's addiction, but like on the scale of what that's a lot of what I went through too, escorting, shooting up, getting not only that, stealing people's information,
Mm.
really, I mean, probably not on the scale of of what you did, but mine ended up turning into homelessness and then sleeping outside. Um, but yeah, it was a dark road, but it was also an enlightenment too. So through all those experiences, and I knew I was protected and loved, and it is just. But thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
absolutely.
The one thing that really resonated with me, and I was probably smiling during the whole time we're talking about it, is like I did I had a girl that I was dating, and I was all fucked up. She was basically was lying to me about something. I knew something was up. So I drove to her house and I noticed her car was gone. And I thought that she was like out and about. I'm like, why is this girl not calling me? Why is she not responding to me? Something's up. She's being shady. So I make the stupid decision to basically break into her house. And my idea was that I was going to wait for her to get home and then be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, whatever. Turns out I go upstairs and I can hear her having sex with someone.
No.
Yeah. So you got it. So I'm fucking coked out of my mind. I'm drunk as fuck. And I hear this, and then I look and I see like a wine bottle and two wine glasses, and I'm like, oh, they're in here fucking whining and dining and shit. So I saw red, freaked out. I literally kicked the door down, and the guy jumps up from the bed. He's naked, holding himself.
Oh my
She's
God.
under the covers. So long story short, I fucking beat the shit out of the guy. She's standing in front of the door. I push her out of the way, and long story short, I get charged with burglary with 2 counts of battery, which is up to life in prison. So this whole court case goes on for a long time. I'm on house arrest for 6 months. The state attorney hates my fucking guts. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a war veteran, diagnosed with PTSD and all sorts of shit. I'm fine. Uh,
Fine.
so her whole stance was this guy is extremely fucking violent. He's got PTSD. He needs to be put away so he doesn't hurt anyone. Keep in mind, I had never, like, I'd been in trouble with the police, but it was always like, kind of like, getting in a little fight or, getting pulled over and not showing up for a court date, having suspended license, nothing like that. So she was fucking trying to nail me to the wall. Her offer was 13 years in prison. So it was like 13 years in prison or take this to trial and possibly have a lot longer in prison. So I was freaking the fuck out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking prison. Like, this is fucking crazy. Um, Long story short, I keep saying that, but it keeps getting longer. The girl that was the whole time, this is a girl that I was dating in a relationship with for a very long time. The guy was her sugar daddy, who used to be an ex-boyfriend, who was a pharmacist who was selling fucking pills to kids and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um, she told everyone that I was not her boyfriend. I was just some guy from work who was obsessed with her. Well, we're in a deposition, and she had the whole time, he's just a guy from work. We have never had anything romantic. We have never done anything together. There's no sexual relationship. There's no, even though I had tons of proof. But I tell and this is TMI, and I'm being vulnerable and telling a story. Don't judge me. So she kept going on and on about we had never had sex, but we had went on a vacation for Valentine's Day. And I had a video that states otherwise in my phone. So I tell my attorney, I'm like, hey, I have a video in my phone of us having sex. And he goes, okay, perfect. So we go into this deposition, and this is like the last one. This is like I'm either going to trial or I'm going to fucking take this plea deal for 13 years of prison. And finally, he goes in there and he goes, Miss Diaz, he's like, let me ask you one more time. And we've been talking about this for a very long time, but you and my client have never had any kind of sexual relationship.
I was trying to help you.
And and I said, no, she said, no, we've never had any kind of sexual relationship. Well, he goes, I have Mr. Hutter's phone here. And in his phone says that you guys took a trip on Valentine's Day together and that there is footage on here that would state otherwise. And he says, here's the deal. We can take this to trial and I'll submit this into evidence and then all the jury will have to watch this. And, we're going to get the truth and whatever. So long story short, she lied her fucking face off and it fell apart with that one situation where he had my phone, and God bless that I had that. But and immediately the state attorney was like, her face turned white. And he goes to her, he goes, what are we going to do now? And they ended up letting me off with time served for my house arrest and then put me in, I had to do probation and anger management and some other shit. But I was looking at 13 years of prison.
Wow.
Yeah. And it just like it down to the last seconds. And then I remember like he came out, I was in the hallway, he came out, he's like, you're good.